Comment on Rushdie's treatment of history in his novel Midnight's Children. Marks 10-12. The presentation of Indian political history during the pre-independence period is apparent in Rushdie's novels. His novel Midnight's Children is no exception. This novel makes several references to Nehru's speech at the midnight of India's independence, in which he desired to create a secular, democratic, tolerant, pluralist and socially just nation, a noble mansion of free India where all children may dwell. Rushdie's attempt, however, was to ask whether the first generation of independent Indians lived up to Nehru's hopes for the newly created nation-states. The novel produces an ambivalent answer. On one hand, the image of India that emerges is broadly affirmative and emphasizes the nation's talent for non-stop regeneration. On the other hand, certain specific political developments led Rushdie to paint a much gloomier picture, like lurching into fratricidal wars with Pakistan, losing its democratic rights at the hands of manipulative political leaders, and fragmenting into violently opposed communal factions. If we have a perusal of the narrative of this novel in the aforesaid context, it seems it is told retrospectively as Salim C. Nye reconstructs the events in his life for the benefit of a single auditor, Padma, his occasional lover and a worker in the pickle factory. The novel setting thus alternates between a fictional present, in which Salim intervenes authorially to reflect upon the process of writing, and a fictional past, in which Salim's family saga unfolds against the backdrop of Indian national life. However, Rushdie himself has repeatedly insisted that his refusal to totalize is not a product of abstract speculations but springs from a particular conception of the constitution of the Indian subcontinent, and from a desire to resist singular conceptions of Indian national identity. Midnight's Children is also a novel that is preoccupied at the level of ideas of history and historicity, with the ways in which history is recorded, by the techniques with which a period is conjured and contained, and by the ways in which the individual historiographer understands his relationship with his material. The reason behind Rushdie's foregrounding a sense of history was to give its locations, such as Bombay, Kashmir, Delhi, etc., sufficient probability to allow readers to believe that historically real times and places are being described. This novel also locates itself in the period of transition between colonial occupation of India and India's and Pakistan's emergence as post-colonial states. The narrative, through Salim's story, seeks to establish itself as history, but at the same time is also suspicious of the narrator's reliability. It is exemplified by certain distortions of the factual details, like the wrong reference to the date of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination or inaccurately pinpointing to the elections of 1957. Even mythology is distorted in the narrative. For instance, god Ganesha, who was very fond of literature, agreed to sat at the feet of the bard Vyasa and jot down the entire text of the Mahabharata. But in this novel, Salim at one point mentions that Ganesha sat at the feet of the poet Valmiki and took down the Ramayana. It is also quite unbelievable as to how Lata Mangeshkar was heard singing on All India Radio as early as 1946. While referring to the Amritsar massacre, Salim mentions that Dyer entered Jallianwala Bagh followed by 50 white troops. The truth is that there were 50 troops, but they were not white. All these sum up the point that Salim is an unreliable narrator. Rushdie himself has written an essay entitled Errata, or Unreliable Narrative in Midnight's Children, to clarify that such errors have to be inferred as such by the reader. Rushdie's argument is that Salim's mistakes are the mistakes of a fallible memory and circumstances. Finished. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe, like and comment.